Good evening, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar with Pitman Training and AAT, how to boost your earnings with a career in accounting or finance. Let's get things started. Before I get into the housekeeping and let you know how this webinar is going to work, I should firstly introduce myself. My name is Paul Lewis. I'm the Managing Director for Pitman Training, and I can honestly say I get a real buzz, a real kick out of helping people, thousands of people actually every year, to gain new skills to go and pursue some new jobs and some new careers. And that's really what we're all about at Pitman Training, is helping people to transform their career and really change their lives. So you'll be hearing more about that through the course of the webinar. So I'll do my best job as facilitator and host this evening. I've got some special guests that I'll be introducing in a short while. So a little bit of housekeeping, do bear with me. So welcome to anyone that's just joined. I can see people joining all the time. So we're going to try and keep this to around about 35 minutes. So we'll be as prompt as we can for you. And please stay to the end. We've got some important updates towards the end of the webinar, and we wouldn't want you to miss out. We are going to make the webinar as interactive as we possibly can. How, I hear you ask? Well, I've mentioned the chat feature. That's just something we can have a bit of fun with. Maybe you can ask each other questions. But the main feature I want to point out to you is our Q&A feature. So whether you're on your mobile device or maybe you're on your laptop, at the top of your screen, you should see the word Q&A. And if you pop a question in there, we will do our level best to answer all of the questions that we get this evening. So please do interact with us. I'll say that one more time. Use the Q&A feature to ask your questions, not the chat feature. Okay. So don't be shy. We are going to be running some polls as well in a couple of minutes. So we ask you all to participate in our polls. We just want to find out what type of audience we've got this evening, and you know, what your current situation is. And what is it we're trying to achieve in today's discussion? Well, we want to help you out and let you know how to pursue a career in finance and accounting. We're going to be hearing from our special guests, Henry and Danielle. They really are experts when it comes to the world of accounting and finance, so we'll be hearing from them. We'll be talking about gaining qualifications and how you might go about that and why that might be important. We're also delighted to be joined by Lindsay. She's a previous Pitman training student, and she's got a great story about how she studied and went on to pursue a career in finance. We'll let you know if we can be of any help. And we will, as I say, take as many questions as we possibly can. So hope that all makes sense, and I'll move on if I can. So I mentioned polls a moment ago. We've put the first one on the screen there for you. So let me just read this through. Which of the following best describes your current position? And we're asking you to choose one option here. Are you in a job maybe you don't enjoy, so you're looking to pursue a finance or accounting career instead? Maybe you don't have a job now, but you'd still like to pursue a career in finance and accounting. Maybe you're already employed in finance and accounting, and maybe none of the above, and you're just here because you thought it looked interesting. So I'll give you a few seconds to make your selections on there. I should mention as well my esteemed colleagues in the background who are running the technology this evening, and they'll be helping to take all of your questions. So thank you to my team in the background. So let's have a look at the results, shall we? They should be popping up on your screen right now. So the vast majority of our audience, 56%, are already in a job, but like the idea of a career in finance and accounting. So that's cool. Okay. And then 15% don't have a job now, but would like to follow finance or accounting. We have 23% of our audience is already in finance and accounting roles. And then a few people, probably my colleagues, are here just as spectators. That's great. Okay. So a large proportion are wanting to pursue this as a career option, which is great. And I'm also really pleased that we have 23% of our audience are already in finance roles. So maybe you're looking to, progress further, or maybe you can chip in with some of your top tips as well on the chat function. Let people know how you did get those jobs, and maybe if you studied. So feel free to go ahead and start telling your story. So our next poll, if I can click on, there we go. Poll number 2. What do you think is the biggest barrier to getting hired in a finance or accounting job? Do you think it might be lack of skills, qualifications, lack of work experience, lack of confidence, employers' prejudice, or too many applicants and not enough jobs? So give you a few seconds. Again, we're asking you to choose one option here. What's the biggest barrier to getting hired? Interesting to see what people say. Maybe there is no barrier. All right, just a few more seconds and then I'll ask my colleagues to put the results up on the screen. Okay, let's have a look. So biggest barrier by quite a long way, lack of work experience. That's an interesting one. So I'll definitely be asking my my guests to kind of comment on that. 20% is lack of skills, qualification. A few people said lack of confidence. I think that always plays a part, doesn't it? Employer prejudice. I didn't know whether to put that one in there, to be honest with you, but maybe a little bit controversial. But I think we all know, don't we, that sometimes prejudice does creep in. And I'm actually really pleased that so few of you said it's too many applicants, not enough jobs, because I would agree with that. I think there is an abundance of jobs right now, especially entry-level jobs. So I'm really pleased that that's not the biggest barrier, because I think we can deal with the other ones, can't we? Cool. Thank you, Mike, who's just put that up on the screen. So, and thank you to everybody for taking part in the polls there. That gives us a good, I guess, a good sort of basis to work from. So these are just my thoughts, really, based on some of the research that I've done in terms of why would you choose a career in finance and accounting. Studying for an accounting and finance degree or qualification provides an excellent prospect and opportunities to work across a vast array of companies in many different industries. Studying finance helps you prepare for a business career and helps you build your business awareness. And these are really the sort of top standout benefits. You have opportunities to work across any industry. There's not too many lines of work that you can honestly say that. You'll be a lifelong learner. What we mean by that is, what with different changes in sort of finance and accounting law and regulations, there's always the need to keep learning and keep evolving. Your roles will be challenging. No 2 days are the same. You'll be, certainly stretched in a finance or accounting role. And I think we'd all agree as well that accountants, accounting assistants, and finance, managers and assistants, that anyone in those types of roles is a well-regarded, well-respected profession, known for good integrity and good ethics. And then finally, you'll be so much more than the stereotypical bean counter. But I'm sure you all agree, and that's why you're here this evening. So look, thank you for taking part in those polls once more. I'm actually going to introduce my first 2 guests now, if I can, and we'll get into our main discussion for this evening. So if I could ask Danielle Smith and Henry Cooper to join me by turning on their cameras and turning on their microphones. And Danielle is the regional accounts manager with the AAT, and I'll let her introduce herself in a moment. And Henry Cooper has had a long-standing affiliation with the AAT and was previously their president for a number of years as well. So he's got a lot of a wealth of knowledge to share with us. So welcome, Danielle, and welcome, Henry.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you all this evening.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining, and to you as well, Henry. So, Lindsay, if I can bring you into the discussion. So, just firstly, you are working with the AAT. How long have you been with the AAT now?
I have been with AAT since February last year. I've worked with AAT in a variety of capacities, as an independent assessor, also a marker, but yeah, actually working solely for AAT since February last year.
Okay, cool. And sorry if I mentioned Lindsay's name. I didn't mean to introduce you at that point, Lindsay. We'll bring you in just a few minutes. And Henry, yourself. So I know you're well involved in the sort of accounting world and all of AAT's activities now. How long have you been associated with the AAT, Henry?
Well, I've been associated with AAT for getting on for 30 years. We've got the record for taking longest to actually qualify. It took nearly 10 years to actually get qualified. So
oh, wow.
I've only been a member for 23 years so far. But it's been a fantastic 23 years. And as you say, which I've had various roles. I'm proud to call myself a bean counter, although I'm not a stereotypical one, as you say. And as you say, I was a past president of AAT. It was a massive, proud achievement for me. And just to highlight the fact that I think it shows that anyone what anyone can aspire to. When I started studying AAT, I never dreamt I'd be president of AAT some years later, and that's been an absolute privilege for me. Yeah, so and now for the last 20 years, I've been running my own practice. We just celebrated our 20th anniversary, and I'm still loving every day of it. Has its pitfalls and worries, but it's fantastic fun. Thoroughly enjoy it.
Brilliant. Well, yeah, congratulations, and we are very very pleased to have you with us this evening. I should say as well to the audience, again, if you think of any questions as we move through the webinar, do put them in the Q&A feature, and we'll periodically come to them as well. So don't save them up to the end, because that never really works. We run out of time. So what we're going to aim to do this evening is deal with the questions as we're moving on. So at this point, I'm going to hand over to Danielle, because I know you've got some information you'd like to share, Danielle, about jobs and salaries and more about what the AAT does and how you do it. So I'm going to click the slides exactly when you tell me.
Thank you, Paul. That'd be fantastic.
All right.
So really, the first slide is about setting the scene as to who we are, what we do, and how we do it. So we're the world's leading professional body for accounting technicians. We've got around 130,000 members in over 100 countries, and at present we work with more than 500 training providers. I think one of the biggest ones that really stand out there is that we award around 80% of all vocational qualifications in accounting. So as well as being an awarding organisation, we are a charity. We're also an endpoint assessment organisation as well. Thank you, Paul. Next slide, please. So why do our students choose AAT? So there are a number of reasons, and I won't go into all of these on the screen. We'll just pick up a couple of them as we go through. But I think one of the ones that really stands out for me is the fact that our qualifications are open to everyone. There is an opportunity for you all to study AAT at the relevant level, and that's something obviously as we go through this presentation, Pitman will also be able to support you with. They'll support you with your advice and guidance, etc. But if you do have any questions about your qualifications, just pop them into the Q&A as we're going along. Practical real world skills that every employer needs. Now, I know Henry will support me in this statement that accountancy is so much more than just numbers. Accountancy is about communication. It's about your analytical skills. It's about being able to give a solution or an answer to somebody in a way that they understand clearly, especially if they're not from a finance background. So it's a real skill there. I think for me, especially, my background isn't stereotypical in the sense that I'm currently in a business development role working for AAT, but I was that student. I have studied AAT, and whilst I'm not in an accounting role at the moment, I've been a teacher. I've taught the qualification, I've marked the qualification, I've lived and breathed the qualification. So it just goes to show that whilst obviously it's an accounting and finance qualification that we have to offer, the opportunities for your progression are endless. And again, we'll touch upon that throughout the presentation.
Cool. And if I can just, sorry, Danielle, I was just going to ask there, you mentioned about 80% of the vocational qualifications are awarded by the AAT. That I wasn't aware of. That's really quite staggering, isn't it?
It is, absolutely. And I think it just goes to show the kudos, the merit that we have in that environment. So it's really positive.
Yeah, sorry, you carry on.
Okay, don't worry, thank you. One of the other ones I'd like to touch upon here is increase your earning potential. So what we have is every 2 years we produce something that's called our salary survey, not our annual, our salary survey. So the most recent salary survey that we have is our 2021 salary survey. And what I'll do for you, for those of you who haven't seen it, I'll pop the link in the chat box so you can access it throughout or after the session today. But the salary survey really identifies what our members are earning, in what region are they working, at what level are they working at. So we've got some really clear statistics that will actually really support you when you're developing in your career, when you're choosing your qualification. So I'll pop that in the chat box and we'll refer to it throughout as well. I think the last one I really want to touch upon on this slide is it's a great progression opportunity for professional membership. Now, for me, one of the most amazing things at the end of your journey, at the end of your studies, is being able to really evidence what you've achieved, not only in the fact that you've got a qualification, but with AAT, you have the option to have designatory letters after your name. And these are really recognised in the world of accounting and finance and by employers as well. Next slide, please, Paul, and I'll show you what we mean in terms of the designatory letters, professional membership, and that journey there. Thank you. So you can see here what we have is the AAT Professional Journey. So we've got various stages, and again, I'll try and keep it short and sweet, but I can share some information in the chat as where you can find further detail. Now, I know I can speak for Henry and myself when I say this, that we're really proud of our membership designatory letters. So both Henry and I are FMAAT. So we're both fellow members of the Association of Accounting Technicians, which is a fantastic achievement. And whilst I haven't got as many years experience as Henry, to qualify as an FMAT, you need to have been a member of AAT for 5 years or more. So it really goes to show the support, the kudos attached to that. But if we go backwards and we look, that's your end goal in terms of your membership journey. We have the student member. The next on the list, we have AAT QB. So this is our qualified bookkeeper status. And this is something that you can apply for upon completion of our level 3 diploma in accounting, or also our advanced certificate in bookkeeping at level 3. We then have the affiliate member, which is something that is for those who've completed their level 4 qualification, but they haven't necessarily got the relevant experience at the moment. We've then got our MAAT, which is for our members who have completed their qualification, so their level 4 professional diploma in accounting, and they've also got that work experience that they've been able to sign off. You've then got that final stage in the journey. We recognise long-standing members, and that FMAT is when you've been a member for 5 years or more. Henry, is there anything you'd like to add here in terms of the professional journey or your professional journey?
Yeah, I mean, as you say, I'm really proud to be an FMAAT. It's the gold standard, I guess, isn't it? Really, it proves that you've got staying power. It proves that you're really into accounting, if you like. It proves your professionalism, doesn't it? But working back from that, I also think, the fact that we've got so many options now. I know when I started, it was an option of student member, MAAT, FMAAT, whereas now you've got various stopping off points, haven't you? So it might be that you don't want to go all the way to being a fully qualified accounting technician, but you can stop off at the AAT QB stage at level 3. And from there on, you can get some fantastic careers. You can become a licensed bookkeeper, for instance, work for yourself. It's not for everyone to do the whole thing, but then maybe a bit later you can then decide to go on. And for being and just being, I don't want to say just being an affiliate member, but being an affiliate member in itself is a fantastic thing. And at that stage, you only the only hurdle, if you like, into getting full membership is the work experience, and that's something that can be worked around by doing things like charity work and things like that. You know, you can get some fantastic work experience there, and then that then enables you to become a full MAAT. So yeah, I think it's fantastic, the range, and it's highly regarded. Just a quick plug: when I was president, I had the privilege of getting us into full IFAC membership, International Federation of Accountants, and we were the first accounting technician body in the world to do that, and we're now. Well, at the moment, I think we're something like the 12th largest accounting body in the world, you know. So I said earlier on about awarding 80% of all qualifications in this country. We're also one of the largest in the world, you know. So I think that just adds to our kudos, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So let me move your next slide there, Danielle.
Thank you.
Sorry, for some reason, it's not playing ball. There we go.
Thank you. So we've touched upon this very briefly, and what I'd also like to do on the back of this slide is we have our AAT website, but we've also got a site called AAT Comment. Now, AAT Comment is absolutely fantastic in terms of the content that's available to you, in terms of some of the articles on there. So we've got some career profiles, and again, I'll pop these links in a second for you, but we've effectively broken down some of the key roles in accounting and finance, and effectively interview people as to what they do on a day-to-day basis. What would you expect your daily tasks to be if you were a finance manager? So they're really valuable insights. So we'll share those with you. But what we have here, and again, this list isn't prescriptive, it's just an idea of your entry points or the expected job roles that we would expect to see our students and members undertaking at each of the particular levels of the qualification. And just bear in mind, as I said, it's not prescriptive, it does differ, but it just gives you an idea of some of the roles. So you can see here at level 2, so we have an accounts assistant, a data input clerk, a junior cashier. If we look at the assistant bookkeeper at level 2, just to show that progression journey that's available, upon completion of the level 2 qualification, it may be that you could progress to a bookkeeper. And then upon completion of level 3, it may be that you find an opportunity to progress to the senior bookkeeper. So it's really all about that progression opportunity. And again, I will share with you in the chat box some of the AAT comment articles that really highlight some of the key skills required for all of these jobs. But I think it's important to remember that in every single job, you will have those core transferable skills. It will be your communication, it will be your number work, it will be your easy for me to say, analytical skills. And those are some of the core competencies. Me personally, I started out as an accounts assistant, progressed to an assistant accountant, and that was pretty much me. And I've worked in a wide range of organisations. So these aren't necessarily simply sector specific. It could be that you work in, I worked in manufacturing in my first role, and then I progressed to a large regional newspaper. I've also worked in football for a local football club in a role that actually I benefited from budgeting and various other skills that I picked up from my AAT qualification. So some of the expected roles there. Henry, I don't know if there's anything you'd like to add in terms of the roles available.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, you've covered a lot of it there, but as you said, I think the roles are many and varied. You know, Paul at the beginning, you know, said about not a stereotypical bean counter, you know, and I think, you know, you've highlighted the variety of roles you can do, you know, and there are some people working some really exciting things. I mean, you know, you can get joking apart things into Formula One, from Formula One to the local pub to breweries. You know, every business needs financial support, doesn't it? You know, so whatever interests you in, you know, really you could get to work in that through this role, couldn't you? And I can't think of many roles where that would be the case, you know. So no, it's fantastically varied.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I
Next slide,
agree.
please.
Yeah, thanks, Danielle. There we go. We're into salaries now.
Perfect. I think one of the key considerations when choosing a pathway for you, when exploring qualifications, is where could they take me? Where is this going to lead? I think one of the key factors here is salary. So again, these statistics are from our salary survey 2021, and I'll pop that in the chat box for you. But you can see the average basic salary for each level of AAT membership there for you. So we've gone through the levels of membership, and you can see there each of the average basic salaries. One thing that I'd really like to draw your attention to is off the back of the salary survey, what we did find is that 80% of members that have completed an AAT accounting qualification agree that it's increased their earning potential. So for me, that really is quite substantive, and it's a really clear message as to what the qualification or what a qualification could do for you and your career and your pathway. We've mentioned to become a full member, and Henry rightly said there that full journey isn't for everyone. And as we said at the start, our qualifications are open to all. No two pathways are going to be the same. You have to do what's right for you. So really, really take on board the fantastic advice and guidance you'll get from the team at Pitman. Progress to chartered accountancy. We touched very, very briefly upon next steps. I think Henry may have mentioned next steps. You can then go on to chartered accountancy. You can choose to specialise in certain areas, whether that be financial accounting, management accounting. And I think a lot of that will really depend on your strengths, your passions. Me personally, I'm more of a management accounting sort of person. Henry may have other preferences, but I love to know how much things cost to make, and you know what are the margins and the markups of things, and especially working in manufacturing. So that was really, really where my journey went. And last but not least is something that Henry will be an absolute advocate for, is being your own boss. Becoming that licensed member, setting up your own practice and offering those services to the public. Henry, just for the purpose of the webinar and the people who are attending, if that is an option for them, are there certain things that they would need to then do to become a licensed member, or is there certain requirements that need to be fulfilled?
Yes, thanks, Danielle. Yeah, so yeah, obviously that's my passion. I mean, like you, I also get excited about how much it costs to make a grommet and all that sort of thing, you know. But we're a strange bunch sometimes, aren't we? But I think we're kind of a lovable bunch as well. But no, being in practice is fantastic. It's not for everyone. I mean, I could talk about this for an hour and a half, so I will be as quick as I can on this, and I will take a minute or so. But it is an option. A lot of people don't realise this when they start their accounting journey, that being your own boss is an option, because everybody thinks, well, you need to be a chartered accountant, etc., etc. You don't. You can actually set up your own practice, and you can do this in a couple of ways. One, you can set up in practice as an AAT QB, as a licensed bookkeeper, basically, which means you can do everything up to trial balance pretty much, and payroll. So if that's your thing, if you want a bookkeeping role and you're happy with that, then you can get a license to do that. But when you're a full member, you can also progress to being a full licensed accountant. Now, obviously, because the risk is a bit higher here, isn't it? Because obviously you're dealing with the public and you're giving advice. So the AAT requirements are quite strict here, in that if most people, a lot of people won't choose to go into practice, but if you do, it's very important that you communicate with AAT about this, because you have to be licensed in one of the areas in which to be able to do that. Otherwise, AAT will have to discipline you. There are quite a few stepping stones to get into it. Obviously, you need the practical experience, which you more or less have by doing the course. To be a licensed bookkeeper, you then need to go on, and it's an application process basically, and you need to apply for a license in the fields that you wish to offer. It's a really straightforward process, and then you put the application in. You can then apply for a license. You'll need certain things like professional indemnity insurance, practice cover, and that sort of thing, in case you're not able to get to be in the business for any length of time. So that's a great stepping stone to get into it. And if you just want to do bookkeeping, or if you don't have the experience to be a full licensed accountant, because to be a full licensed accountant, you need to be level 4 qualified and MAAT or FMAAT. But you also need to show experience in the areas which you want to be licensed in. But you also need to have practice management experience, which obviously a lot of us won't have. So by doing the bookkeeper route, first of all, you can do at a very very low, very basic stage, if you like. You can practice there. While you're doing that, you can then get the practice management experience, and then after a while, after you've got enough experience, you could then apply for the full license. And just to quickly clarify what I mean by fully licensed. A full license, you can pick and choose as to what you want to do. You can do management accounts, you can do bookkeeping, you can do VAT, you can do the whole lot. My license covers everything through from bookkeeping through to corporation tax, etc. The only things I don't offer advice on is and I can't remember what they are now. There's only a couple of options that I don't do because they're a bit too hard, basically. So you can apply for one or as many as you like of those, as long as you've got the experience. And there's a bit of a myth that you have to be a chartered accountant to do all of this. It's wrong. You don't. The only thing you can't do as an AAT licensed accountant is things like audit and other regulatory things like financial advice and all that sort of thing, So it's a fantastic wide-ranging license, and it enables you to do just about anything. And you can have a really good, stressful sometimes, but fantastically enjoyable career with that.
Thank you, Henry. I just noticed a real flurry of questions coming in. So I'll tell you what we'll do. I'm going to hand back to Danielle to finish your slides, and then we'll come to those questions if that's all right. All right. I think that's your next one.
It is. My next one and my very last one, I promise. So you study support every step of the way. This is from an AAT perspective, what your membership will provide you. So not only are you a student member of AAT, you get the study and career support. So along with AAT Comment, which I've popped in the chat there, we have a dedicated learning portal, which has an array of resources to support you with your studies, including sample assessments, examiners reports, which are incredibly useful. So that's just some of the study support there. Free online CPD, we have a wide range of CPD options for every stage of your journey, whether you are that student member, whether you are that fellow member. There are lots of CPD opportunities available with your membership. Events and training. So granted, COVID-19 has changed the way we work. I was going to say slightly, but it's changed the way we work. So we do have lots of virtual opportunities to attend events and masterclasses, and you'll have full access to those via your My AAT account. Industry updates, you'll have regular updates from us at AAT. We have something that's called AAT Weekly, which gets sent out on a weekly basis with key updates to students. And I've briefly mentioned your My AAT account. I think the one thing that I haven't mentioned, which I think personally is one of the most fantastic things, is AAT rewards. So there are exclusive rewards for being an AAT member, discounts as well on your various shopping activities that you might engage with. So another benefit of being a member there. And that's me done. Thank you, Paul.
Cool. Well, thank you very much, Danielle and Henry. So hang on there because we may have some questions. So I'll ask one of my esteemed colleagues to thank you, Mike, for jumping in. Where do you want to start? Maybe we'll do quick fire questions with quick fire answers. So what have you got?
Thank you, Paul, and thank you everyone for your input tonight. We have had a flurry of questions, and my colleague Yari behind the scenes is doing a fantastic job of actually answering them as we go through. A lot have also been answered by the slides and the presentation. You can click on the answered section and see those. But the ones we have at the minute that aren't answered, that are still open, Danielle, probably one for you. Does the AAT have a LinkedIn page?
Yes, we do. We are on LinkedIn. If you type into the search AAT, we will come up. But also as well, if you can't find that, please feel free to add me. You're more than welcome to search for me, Danielle Smith, and I can point you in the right direction there. But yes, we do have a LinkedIn page.
Great. Thank you, Danielle. Another question. Where on AAT can we find access to more webinars and virtual opportunities?
So in terms of are you already a student member, Eleanor? If you are, it will be on your My AAT account that you'll be able to search for additional events. If you're having any problems with that and you are a student currently, I'm more than happy to share with you my email address and we can explore if there are any issues with your account. But everything is via your My AAT account. So you log in and it will be behind the login and you'll see those on there. It may also be that we advertise these via AAT Weekly as well. So just make sure that if you are already a student, that your communication preferences have been adjusted to ensure that you get those communications. But Eleanor, if you can just message me and let me know if you are having difficulties, I'm happy to sort those out for you outside of the webinar.
Thanks, Danielle. Then we have, how well recognised is the AAT abroad? Are there any good opportunities to work abroad with an AAT qualification?
Absolutely. I think the real question is, where do you want to work? So we work across the globe. We said at the start of the presentation, we've got around 130,000 members in more than 100 countries. So we are recognised as the world's leading professional body for accounting technicians. So I suppose my only advice would be to understand where in the world you'd like to work, because obviously one of the things that we would have to consider is things like taxation differ around the world as well. So yeah, if you've got a further comment to that, I think that was Brad, by all means pop something else in the chat and we can have a look at that in more detail. But my first initial response is very recognised, and yes, there is a good opportunity.
Two more I think we've got here. One is, I currently process payroll but part of an HR department. How could I persuade or influence my HR manager that AAT training would be beneficial? And if a company paid for the training, are there any monetary benefits?
It really does depend on the organisation. What I would say to you is, if you would like, by all means, we have a dedicated employer team at AAT. If you are employed in that organisation, we'd be happy to have those conversations for you. But I think it's really selling the benefit of the qualification. Why do you want to do it? What's the employer going to gain from that? And there's a whole host of things that they will gain. Not only the fact that the confidence in yourself for undertaking a new qualification, but also the knowledge and skills and those behaviours as well that you'll develop. So a stronger communicator, a more analytical thinker, problem solver, etc. So I'd be happy to help. By all means, if you want to pop something in the chat, I can liaise with Pitman and we can talk through that in more detail. But sell the benefits. Why do you want to do it? How is it going to help the organisation? Yeah, that would be my initial response.
And there's one question I hear that's already been answered by Yari, and Yari, I'd love it if you're happy to come on just for a second here and just reiterate your answer to this one here, please. This from Nick. I have a goal of starting a bookkeeping business alongside my current non-accounting or finance business, starting small and then building towards a full accounting business as my experience and qualifications grow. Is this a realistic goal?
Absolutely, it is. I think, you know, we've said at Pitman Training, we're very flexible training. You can study it remotely, you can come into the centres, and we have late nights and weekends that are open. And it really depends on how many hours you've got to put aside to do the studying. And it's really easy and very, very flexible to be able to do that. So yeah, no problem at all. Go for it.
Excellent. And if I can, well, thank you, Mike and Yowie, for jumping in there. And I think that's a lovely segue into introducing my next guest, who I think actually, when we introduced Lindsay in a moment, will actually answer a lot of the questions on the Q&A feature. You'll see what I mean, because Lindsay's been on that journey. So without further ado, I would like to ask Lindsay Walby to join us. Turn your camera and your microphone, that would be great. And just while Lindsay's finding her way in, well, welcome, Lindsay. Good evening.
Good evening.
So you studied with us about 5 or 6 years ago initially, and I know you've gone on to do lots of different courses with Pitman, but what made you sort of take that leap into finance and accounting, and what made you choose Pitman to study with?
So I've always worked in administration, and at the time of looking into what I wanted to do as a career option, I was with my husband in Germany as part of British Forces. So the options for work are quite limited anyway. So I've done a little bit of research. As part of my admin background, I've worked in kind of sales with invoices and things, and quite fancied finance. So I did a bit of research. AAT came up, and to be honest, I just thought I'd give it a go. I did level 2, and actually, to be honest, when I googled training providers, Pitman came up. So I gave the centre a call, actually in Manchester, because that was the closest centre to where my parents live.
Yeah.
And I remember speaking to Becky at Pitman. She was really helpful. We talked through my background and what I fancied doing. So that's how I got into it. And
from what I understand, Lindsay, you were living in Germany with your family at that time, and I think you what was your first finance role? Because I think it was. Did you start that role when you were studying or after you finished your studies?
After. I'd gone through level 2 with having no real experience at all. And I won't lie, it was quite a challenge having no experience. But then I got a job in a school working as a bursar, because it was the AAT level 2 that they'd noticed I had on my CV. So I kind of got my foot in the door there. And then I went on to work as a school business manager at a primary school. So yeah, it was just a foot in the door, really. And I think having that AAT qualification made the biggest difference.
Yeah, and the school, the employer, actually noted that when they brought you in for an interview and ultimately offered you the job.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, excellent.
The school that I work at now, I'd actually applied. Germany was closing down for forces, and we were looking at moving back to the UK. And I'd actually applied for a job in a local secondary school. I wasn't offered that role, but noting the fact that I had AAT, he phoned me then to offer me a different role that hadn't been advertised yet, based on that alone.
That's really interesting, isn't it? Because we often hear about this hidden job market or unadvertised jobs, and I guess the fact they've now got your CV and your credentials, then you're more likely to be considered, aren't you? So tell us about your job now. What does a day look like in your current job? So you're an assistant finance manager, is that right? Have I got it right?
I am, yeah. So I'm an assistant finance manager for, although we're working in a secondary school, it's a local multi-academy trust, so we look after 5 schools overall. It varies so much. I mean, a lot of it, we're putting orders on the system, entering invoices, speaking to suppliers, obviously the usual things along the lines of bank reconciliations, lots of transactional, putting lots and lots of transactions in the finance system. And I think particularly the finance system that we use, it's used by quite a lot of schools in the area. So I think once you've done a bit of that, it ties in with other jobs. So it's quite easy to move around, I think, as well. Yeah. It varies day to day, really, and we're never bored. I think that's the biggest thing. Mm-hmm. There's never a dull moment at all.
And I think Danielle and Henry were mentioning earlier that you really can work across different industries. You've chosen to go into education, which is wonderful, and I'm sure it's extremely rewarding, maybe stressful as well, but isn't every job. And didn't you say to me as well that you're studying again? I noticed when you were, after you'd done the initial AAT level 2 with us, you then topped up, I think, with HR skills as well and project management as well. And I think it's great that you continue to invest in your in your own development, and you're now level 3, maybe even considering level 4.
Yeah, that's right. As soon as I was offered the opportunity to do some extra learning when I was in Germany, I thought of Pitman, and I've actually recommended them a few times to colleagues. It's just so easy. And I did the HR and project management just to top up CPD. It's so important to carry on learning whatever you're doing, I think, and particularly with AAT, just keeping your knowledge fresh. I'm doing level 3 at the moment as an apprenticeship because if anyone works in education, the budgets are so tight. There's no money for learning particularly. But if you've got an employer that pays into the apprenticeship levy, they're not paying anything extra for you to do that. So yeah, the level 3 at the moment, and I'd really like to carry on and do level 4 as well.
Yeah, and what kind of last question for now? What's the end goal then, or are you just seeing where the journey takes you? But what would getting your level 3 and level 4, what would that enable you to go and do?
I think my goal changes all the time. Originally, if I could just get into a finance role, I was more than happy with that. I've had the chance recently to stand in as finance manager after working for a couple of years as a finance assistant. And I think I'd quite like to continue and do that, because it's such a well-rounded role as well. It's not just about transactions. There's lots of budget monitoring, and it's a lot more in depth than just putting invoices onto a system.
Yeah.
I've thought about chartered, but now I think I might stay with level 4 and continue down this route. So yeah, I'm more than happy.
Well, well done for everything you've achieved so far, and do hang on, because we may see if there's any questions that come through. But I think the message I would like to sort of share with everybody is that the power of that initial qualification. Henry and Danielle were talking about it. At level 2 with AAT qualification, it's enabled you to get some really interesting jobs, and I'm sure some rewarding jobs, both in terms of the satisfaction, but also the remuneration as well. That's part of why we go to work every day, isn't it? To get paid and enjoy what we're doing. So what I'll do, if you hang on there, Lindsay, I'm just going to move my slide on here, and in fact maybe we can kind of jump to this as well, because it links to what you were saying just a moment ago. For everybody looking at the screen here, these are just 2 jobs that happen to be advertised online in various parts of the UK. You've got accounts assistant on the left, finance assistant on the right. And if we look, the bit I've highlighted there is that an accounts background or level 2 AAT or the equivalent. So that's something that particular employer is looking for, and you can sort of see the entry-level salaries here as well. And then on the right-hand side, you've got a finance assistant, AAT qualified, and it also says good IT and Excel skills. And I think when you studied with us, Lindsay, the diploma that you went on did include Excel and Microsoft Word and Excel, I think, were part of that diploma.
It was, yeah. It was so important as part of, I think, any role in an office, really. I think now without the Microsoft package, yeah, you really need that experience.
Yeah, no, I so just wanted to let our audience know. I was actually, staggered about how many job adverts online were specifying an AAT qualification. So it really does stand you out from the crowd. Then this one, for the proportion of our audience tonight that maybe are unemployed currently, if you so happen to fall between the age of 18 and 24, you're registered with your job centre. There are lots of positions, thanks to the government's Kickstart programme. And also Lindsay mentioned apprenticeships as well. There are lots and lots of employment schemes right now. And, this advert that I picked out, it's Birmingham, and you can see it's entry-level finance admin assistant, but no prior experience is required. And I think that's the key. I saw on the questions, what if I've got no experience? And I think in our poll earlier, people said maybe no experience is a barrier to getting employed. Well, if you maybe know what to look for, this wouldn't be relevant for everybody, because it's quite a small age bracket that the Kickstarter program is looking for. But apprenticeships may be available, or you've got placements, or even Henry mentioned maybe voluntary, maybe charity work, something like this, to get your foot in the door and to try and launch your finance and accounting career. So I don't know, Lindsay, if you've got any comments on that, but I think most of our listeners would be interested. How do I get that foot in the door? Maybe studying is part of it, but how would you land your first job? I mean, you probably just applied and put yourself forward for lots of different roles, did you?
Yeah, I think it's important as well that just apply. Sometimes just giving it a go. I mean, I haven't always been offered every role that I've applied for, but I think having that experience as well. And when you say about obviously having no experience, I hadn't worked in finance when I got my first finance role. The AAT really did make the biggest difference. And as I said at the beginning, it was a real challenge because not working in finance, it's quite difficult with some of the AAT. But just keep persevering. You will get through it, and people are around to help. And the AAT website, like Danielle said, it's so helpful. But yeah, I think particularly if you've worked in any kind of office environment, or just give it a go.
Yeah, absolutely. So that might be another tip as well, that potentially office or admin skills could, lead you in nicely to then taking your accounting qualifications. So thank you again, Lindsay. And I just wanted to start wrapping up, really. I'm conscious of time and everybody wants to go and enjoy their evenings. I hope we've given you some good messages today and given you some things to think about. These are just really the types of pathways that we offer here at Pitman Training. So this is, I guess, the route into maybe you would take a course to have a taste of what accounting is all about. So we offer short courses here at Pitman. If you didn't want to go and do the full-blown diploma, then if I just move my slides on, then we've got the diplomas that map to all of the AAT levels there, 2, 3, and 4. So if you've got questions about those, we can have a chat with you offline. Lindsay went for one of our level 2 diplomas and successfully completed it with a distinction, I should add, and that set her up for her finance career. And then Danielle and Henry were mentioning level 3 and how you would take on a different membership with AAT, and level 4 and all the sorts of doors that then begins to open, and the salaries as well that then could lead to. So I guess what I'm trying to say is there's lots and lots of different options if you choose to study with Pitman Training. I was talking there about some of the qualifications and the diplomas that we offer, but we also offer different courses as well. So you could just study a bookkeeping course, or a Sage Accounts course, or a payroll course. Again, that's depending on what your budget is for studying, but also depending on what you're trying to achieve in your career. You may just want some basic accounting skills to do a role that you're looking to apply for. So lots of different options. And the good thing with Pitman Training is you can build as well. You could do some courses, then you could turn that into an award, and maybe you could turn that into a full diploma if you wish. So that's kind of how Pitman Training can help. And then before we say goodbye to everybody, Mike or Yowie, is there any sort of burning question that we need to answer before we end today's webinar?
Well, there's one interesting one here. Actually, it was for Lindsay. Just how long did it take you to complete your level 2 qualification? Great question.
Yeah, I think it took me around 18 months altogether. I think mainly because I was flying backwards and forwards from Germany to the UK to sit exams. But yeah, around 18 months. But I think you can do it a lot quicker. I think if you it depends how many hours you're putting into it. But yeah, I didn't want to rush it either. So around 18 months.
And roughly, Lindsay, how many hours a week would you say you were studying during that time?
I think probably 5 or 6. I was working full time as well, so I spent the odd evening and then mainly weekends around family life. I think, so it fits in really well, I think.
And that's a really important point, isn't it? Because with Pitman Training and where we differ from other, kind of higher education providers, is everything's flexible, everything's at your pace, your timescales. If you 5-6 hours a week, that's cool. If you could do 20 hours a week, then we can accommodate that as well. So Cool. Thank you, Lindsay, and thank you, Mike.
No problem.
So I hope we've answered a few questions today. We'll answer as many as we can offline as well. So I just wanted to, well, thank everybody, all of our attendees for being part of this evening's webinar. Just to finish off, really, if you want to know more about how Pitman Trainee can help, then please do get in touch. I'll tell you exactly how you do that in a moment. I've mentioned we have wonderful training centres up and down Ireland and the UK. So you can come into one of our training centres, have a chat with us and do your studies in the comfort of one of our training centres. You can also study remotely, or you can do a blend of both. We've talked a lot today about finance and accounting, but we also offer lots and lots of other career paths as well. So if accounting isn't for you, but you think maybe IT, marketing, or graphic design or something, we can talk about all of our other options. Most of you may have heard of Pitman Trainee. If you haven't, we've been providing training and helping people to upskill for over 180 years. So we're pretty good at this, and we've been doing it for quite some time. So we've got great history and heritage there. And then just before we say goodbye, if I can move the slides on, there we go. So I just want to say a big thank you to Lindsay, especially. Really appreciate you joining us today. And I know people would have taken value from your story and your journey. Henry and Danielle from the AAT, really appreciate your help and support this evening. And I know our guests will have enjoyed your insights as well. So thank you for that. We hope everybody listening has enjoyed the last sort of 30, 40 minutes. You will receive an email in your inbox either tonight or tomorrow from your local Pitman Training Centre, just to follow up and see if we can be of any help whatsoever. And my advice would be book yourself a career consultation with your local training centre, because what have you got to lose? That's no obligation. We certainly don't charge for that. And we sit down and we talk about your career journey, where you're trying to go, what you're looking to achieve, and we'll give you some advice. We're also experts in employability as well, so we can talk to you about your CV and how to apply for jobs and how to interview in the best way. And if you choose to enroll with us, that's great, and we'll find the right course or the right diploma for you. Our websites are up on the right hand side there, so take a note of those. You just click on our website, you'll see an inquiry button. Drop your details in there, and then we can get in touch with you and we can book a consultation. So thank you, everybody. I want to say good luck, whatever you choose to do. Yeah, we're here if you need us. So thank you very much and have a lovely evening. Goodbye.